again, Michele Mazelleغ. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to share with you all this video clip and then I'm going to come back and talk about it. So let's get into it.
We live better in Africa than you're living in America. The same house in Africa, you wouldn't even be able to be in it in America. You see? So you have help. You have, I've had friends come and be shocked. Oh, you have fancy cars. Oh, you have big houses. Yeah, did you think we were living in trees? We're not.
But can you emphasize on that for me? Maybe if you can go deep into what you're saying.
Well, I mean, they're just surprised at the level of life that we live because they've been told so many things over the years. And it's getting worse now as they're trying to kill Black history in America altogether. But if you even look at the statistics, statistically, most of their physicians are Nigerians or Ghanaians. Most of their people high level doing anything are African people. So, that's why they're evil and salty about it. And now they're trying to, shut down students going and all that kind of stuff because, let's face it, Black don't crack and it dominates whatever it decides to focus on. It's just as simple as that. We decide to play golf, we run golf. We decide to play basketball, we take that over, tennis, football, whatever.
Now I'm going to talk about what she had to say in this video because she had a lot of good things to say. But I'm also going to focus on the negative reaction that this video got as well. Anytime you see a video like this where an African American is sharing their good life in these countries of Africa, where they're encouraging other African Americans to visit a country in Africa or to move to a country in Africa if they're able to, if an African American is showing their home or showing that their life has gotten better since they moved to a country in Africa, these types of videos always seem to trigger some Black Americans to the point where this just, the comment section is bombarded with so much negativity, so much hateful, words, hateful comments, and just some of the most ridiculous things ever. And it's just like, why is it that when you have African Americans sharing their good experiences, sharing how their lives has changed when they have moved to a country in Africa, why is it that triggers some Black Americans to be very hateful and very negative towards the video and the African American that is speaking on this great experience in the video? So let's talk about what she talked about. The first thing that she said was that when an African American moves to a country in Africa, they're living better than when they would be in the US. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? You got people in the comment section having the nerve to act like that what she's saying is lying. And they start then talking about the negative things in the countries of Africa. Mind you, the negative comments that they're speaking of are not true, based on still a negative stereotypical mindset that we all know where that stems from. And some of it is just plain old ignorance. So let's look at the life in America. Living in America is not easy. It is very difficult, and a lot of people have a difficult time moving up in America, moving up to the next level. A lot of Americans have a difficult time being able to purchase a home. A lot of them are renting an apartment or renting a home. Owning a home in the United States is not for the weak. And it's not something that is easy to do. When you see that somebody has purchased a home, you congratulate them, give them kudos, good for you. You ask them, hey, what did you do? I want to purchase a home. Purchasing a home is not easy. And the question is, do you really own the home though? That's the question. Because you have to get a loan to buy a home in America. And you get the loan from where? The bank. So the bank really owns the home. Yeah, you can fix it up the way you want to fix it up. You can tear down a wall or whatever. But if you miss that mortgage payment, that bank is coming to get that house and that new addition to that home, and you don't have a place to live. That's That's the American dream in America. They can come and get your home. There are people who have purchased a home, who have to purchase a home and have a loan for 20, 25, 30, 35 years, never get it paid off. That's the American dream in America. So let's be real about that. Own a home in America is not something that people are just going out there doing. Now, in the state of Tennessee, and I just picked Tennessee, buying a home in Tennessee in a particular area, very small city, $200,000 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, which means if you have more family members than that house can hold, then, well, sorry for you. $200,000 is going to get you 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. That's it. That's in Tennessee. When you go to some of these northern states, New York, you know, Michigan, those types of states, Virginia, California, the cost of living there is high, ridiculously high. Owning a home, a lot of times, is not even within arm's reach in some of these places. $200,000 in the South is probably to the equivalent, and I'm just saying I probably could be way off, you know, $400,000 or so in certain places in the North, or certain these other places where the cost of living is crazy. A lot of people can't afford to purchase a home in America. That's the reality. That's the reality of it. And when they purchase a home, if they miss a payment for whatever reason, they lost their job, they got sick and couldn't work, they got a divorce, and now they're on a one income. There's a lot of factors that could happen that can keep a person from being able to pay their mortgage. The bank don't care. They want their money. And if you miss, a couple of payments, they will come and take your home and you will be homeless. That's the living in America. And what she's saying is, when an African American, if you're an African American and you want to live a dream, then you can go to a country in Africa, buy a home straight out, and it's yours. Yours. If you can't work, whatever, you don't want to work, at least you got a place to stay, got a place to sleep, you got a place to eat. The home that we built, that my husband and I built in Ghana, is ours. Do you honestly think we would be able to build a home like that in the United States of America? For what price? It would have been way more expensive. We would, of course, be paying on it for who knows how long. We would have had to purchase the land and then purchase the house, because we have built a house in the U.S. before, so we know everything that goes into that. There's no way we could have been able to build the home of that size on that lot of land in the United States. And that's what she's saying. If you want to live a dream, there's a country in Africa that can give you the dream, because you're going to be, your money's going to go farther, and you're going to be living better there than you would be in the United States of America. That's the reality. That's the reality. Now, a lot of people in the comment section, and I've heard this many times, and I've talked about it many times on my channel, when people are talking about, then if Africa is so good, why are the Africans running to the United States? If Africa is so good, why are they coming over here to stay? You know, it's important a lot of times to do research and really look at the numbers, because then you can start to get a whole kind of an outlook, a different perspective when you're able to look at things as a whole, able to look at things number wise. So I'm going to do that for you guys. Okay, I'm going to do that for you guys. So there's 1.2 billion people in Africa. Out of that 1.2 billion people, only 2 million are moving to the U.S. Now, for those mathematicians out there, you can do the percentage of what that percentage is. Now, if we want to break it down country-wise, we can do that too. We can break it down country-wise, because people are still forgetting that the African continent has 54 countries in it. So, of course, each of those countries also have its own population and its own number of people that are moving to the U.S. Now, of course, I'm not going to talk about all of them. I'm only going to talk about Ghana, of course, because it is the top of the list as far as moving to the U.S. I think it was I think it's the 4th African country. It might be the 3rd. And I think of all the black immigrants, which should include the Caribbean, I believe it's number 7 or 8 or something like that. But the top 2 countries in Africa that people are moving from is Ethiopia and Nigeria. Okay, so in Ghana, 34 million people live in Ghana. It's a lot of people. Out of that 34 million, 190,000 have moved to America, have migrated to America. Nigeria is 223 million people in Nigeria. 390,000 have moved to the U.S. In Ethiopia, 126 million population in Ethiopia. 260 have moved to the U.S. So when we're talking about number-wise and you take it as far as the countries, then you're able to see really what that reality is. There's not an influx of Africans that are running to the U.S. It might seem that way in such places as New York or Atlanta, where there are a lot of African immigrants there. It might seem that there is a lot because they are pretty much in that one area. Not to say that they're not anywhere else in the United States, but you will see a lot of them in New York, a lot of them in the Atlanta area as well, the Georgia area. Because you see a lot of them there, then a lot of black Americans think, oh, there's so many Africans that are coming to the U.S. They are just, getting on boats and ships and at the border or whatever. And that's because that's what the media wants you to see. That's what the media is showing you. And let's be real, everything that we see on media, in the media is not true. It's very biased. And the one thing that they want to continue to portray about the African continent, they're going to portray anything negative. And the one thing they want to portray is that nobody wants to be there. Nobody wants to live there. All of the people on the African continent, it's just so difficult there. They're ready to get out of there and come to the land of the free, the home of the brave, and the land of the free of the United States of America. They all trying to get out of there and go to America. And according to the numbers, they're not. They're not. Now, there are some that are leaving, as is everywhere else in these other countries. America is the country of immigrants. And so, yes, you will see a lot of immigrants coming to the U.S. The African continent is not exempted from that. There are immigrants coming from the African continent as well, but it is not as many as people seem to believe, according to the population that live there. There is still a lot of people in the African continent that are there, that are staying there, that don't want to go anywhere, that are fine with where they are. And then you have some other ones that are moving for whatever reason. So the narrative that they are just running to America because they're just so tired of the African continent is not the reality. It's a narrative that people are making up in order for them to make it seem as though Africa is this awful and negative place. And that is just not the reality of it. Now, here's the reality of Americans moving to abroad. There is, oops, I lost my notes. 331 million people that live in America. Out of that 331 million, 8 million Americans have moved abroad to other areas. 8 million, not 1,000, million. Now, unfortunately, there's not any statistics of how many Americans are moving to the African continent. Of course, we know why. They don't want you to know how many Americans are actually moving to the African continent. But Americans living abroad and moving somewhere else, it's 8 million people. up and gone. That's a lot of people from America that's moving out. So stop the fictitious myth or whatever that's in your head that nobody's leaving the U.S. because they are. A lot of it is military people who have moved abroad, who are stationed abroad, and that's where they wanted to be. They didn't want to be in the U.S. They wanted to be stationed somewhere other than the U.S. That's the reality. That's the reality of it. So there's a lot of people leaving the U.S. And African Americans, as we know, getting gone and going to whatever country they can go to. Not just the African countries do you see Americans, African Americans going to. They're also going to the Caribbeans. They are getting out of there. Whether or not you believe it or not, you want to agree with it or not, they're getting out. They are tired of the situation and they are leaving. And not only African Americans, Americans in general are tired of America and they are leaving. Now, the last thing that she talked about that triggered some Black Americans was that she was talking about that there are, you know, black doesn't crack. She actually was giving some very, to me, she was praising you know, African Americans, Black Americans, and then she talked about Nigerian physicians and Ghanaian physicians, and that triggered some African Americans because they don't want you talking about nobody positive about the Ghanaians and Nigerians, them being physicians. And then that segued into them talking about, oh, well, she talked about the Nigerian and Ghanaian physicians, and then when it started talking about the accomplishments of black people in America, she just wanted to talk about sports. So that was just something else that people wanted to just complain about and they have something negative to say. The one thing that we have to remember is that we're not in competition with the African immigrants. We're not in competition with anybody from the African continent. We're not in competition with each other. We should be working together for the betterment of each other, not sitting over there competing. Nobody is competing with each other, and that whole thing just needs to come to a close. Now, let's talk about her talking about the sports. Let's be real. I'm talking heart to heart to my people. In the Black community, we push on our children sports. That's what is pushed in the Black community, is sports. Can your child want to ball down the field or want to ball down the court? Academics is not really pushed a lot in the Black community, and if y'all gonna sit here and act like that's not true, you're lying and you're not being honest with the reality of it. My children have always concentrated on academics. They have never been sports people, and it has nothing to do with their father being from Ghana. They just were never interested in sports. My husband played football. He played soccer. I think he said he played basketball in high school. Me, on the other hand, I was not into sports either. Didn't do not one sport. Not one. I did show choir and I played in the band. So I was not into sports either. So that might be the reason why we didn't really push it on them. Really, if they want to do sports, fine. If they didn't, it was not that big of a deal. But sports never really was their thing. Their thing was academics. That's what they concentrated a lot on. And I can't tell you the side eyes I would get from people in my family when I would tell them they don't play sports. Well, what sports do your children play? The sports of books. Is there a sport for that? Because if there's a sport for that, sign them up. Going to the cookouts and, you know, people playing, you know, football, and my son wanting to, of course, be a part of it, but really could not because he didn't play sports. He didn't know anything about football, and just him being left out. That's what is pushed in a lot of times in the Black community, is sports. So when you see people talking about the accolades of black people, a lot of times they're talking about sports. You know, my daughter got a full ride scholarship to college, and we went to a store and the lady was talking about college, and I was telling her that my daughter got a full ride, and she asked me what sport does she play. So that's a narrative that we definitely need to stop pushing in the black community, that our children can do more. They are academically capable of doing more, and that, you know, it's okay to push sports, but we should also be pushing the books as well. We should be pushing both. They should be good at both. And there are some African Americans that are great at both, that can play sports and they're academically great as well. And we should make sure that we're honoring both of those. And a lot of times schools are not honoring the academic portions of black students. They're honoring the sports part of academics, of the sports part of black students. And that's a narrative that needs to change. So when she's talking about black people in America, they excel in these different things, she's not lying. A lot of times that's what the focus is on, and that's a narrative that as a black community we can change, to let it be known that yes, our children are not only great at sports, but they're also great at being academically. So overall, I didn't think there was anything wrong with the video. Of course, I thought that she had a lot of great facts, but I hate the fact that these type of videos trigger so much in people, that in black Americans, and some black Americans, that they just want to, you know, lash out at the video, lash out at the person, instead of really listening to what the person is saying and really knowing that a lot of what it's saying is true. It's not saying that you know, black Americans are bad. It's not saying that, you know, all of America is bad. It's only talking about the good things that these African Americans are experiencing in these countries in Africa. And if these are good experiences for them, it should just be taken as is, and no negativity should be a part of that, because it really does not need the negativity with it. It really needs to be something to rejoice, because there are African Americans who are showing you another side of a continent that the Western media has tried to make it seem so bad. And as African Americans, we should want to see that. We should want to see more of that, and stop lashing at every positive thing that comes from the countries in Africa and the African continent. All right, y'all, that's all I have to share on that. I am Michelle Mazelleغ. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.